This mahogany trim wasn't approved. Check Section 4, subsection B. It clearly states oak or cedar only.
I'm sorry, but this gathering is entirely unauthorized. You do not have a permit for these floral arrangements according to Section 3B of the bylaws.
Funerals have a strange silence. Not quiet, just heavy. People talk in whispers. Footsteps sound louder than they should. Even breathing feels rude. I was standing near the front, staring at the photo of my grandfather. Black frame, simple smile. The same one he always wore when he thought no one was watching. He raised me more than my parents did. He taught me how to work land, how to fix fences, how to keep your word. That day wasn't about property. It wasn't about money. It was about losing the one person who never failed me. Then I heard heels. Sharp, confident, out of place. I turned and saw her. The HOA president from the nearby residential development. Perfect hair, perfect posture, a face trained to smile without warmth. She didn't nod. Didn't say sorry for your loss. She leaned closer and said, "Where's the will?" At first, I thought I misheard her. People don't ask questions like that at funerals. But she repeated it, louder. "Is there actually a will? Or are we supposed to guess?" A few heads turned. Someone cleared their throat. My hands clenched without me noticing. I said nothing, not because I was weak, but because grief has a way of freezing you in place. She straightened up and walked away like she'd done nothing wrong. That was the moment I knew something wasn't right. My grandfather owned around 900 acres. Fields, tree lines, old dirt roads, land that had been in our family for decades. Years ago, a housing development was built next to part of it. With it came an HOA. From day one, my grandfather kept distance. He never trusted them. They don't want rules, he once told me. They want control. At the time, I didn't fully understand. A few days after the funeral, the letters started coming. Formal, cold, printed language pretending to be polite. The HOA claimed there were boundary concerns, then temporary access issues, then pending review of land ownership. Surveyors showed up without calling. Security blocked one of the dirt access roads we'd used for years. When I called the HOA office, she answered. Same voice, calm. Almost kind. She said, "Until ownership is fully verified, we have to protect community interests." Community, a word that suddenly felt like a weapon. That's when it hit me. She didn't come to the funeral to pay respect. She came to check timing, to see if I was alone, to see if I looked unsure. She thought grief would make me careless. She was wrong, but I didn't know yet how far she was willing to go. The pressure didn't come all at once. It came in pieces. Emails, notices, small actions that felt harmless on their own. Together, they were suffocating. The HOA claimed certain roads were shared access. They said some fences violated community guidelines. They suggested I hire their recommended attorney to simplify things. Every message ended the same way. Failure to cooperate may result in legal action. They weren't asking questions anymore. They were making statements. Then the real move came. A formal challenge. They filed paperwork claiming my grandfather's will was invalid. They argued the land should temporarily fall under HOA management until ownership was resolved. It sounded insane, but it was real. I sat at my kitchen table reading the documents over and over. My coffee went cold. My hands shook. They were betting on delay, on confusion, on the idea that fighting would cost more than giving up. That's when I remembered something. My grandfather didn't trust easily. Especially not HOAs. I went to his old office. The room he kept locked. The one filled with filing cabinets and labeled folders. Everything was organized. Dates, signatures, copies. The will wasn't just there. It was solid, filed properly, updated regularly, witnessed and recorded. But that wasn't all. There was a separate folder. Thick, marked clearly. HOA boundaries and authority. Inside were letters. Old emails, notes from meetings he'd attended years ago. and one clause that made my chest tighten. A legal boundary statement that clearly said the HOA had no authority beyond the residential development. None. Even better, there were emails from the HOA president herself, from years back. In them, she acknowledged those limits, which meant she knew exactly what she was doing now. She wasn't confused. She was testing me. I hired my own attorney, not theirs. We didn't rush. We didn't threaten. We documented everything. Every blocked road, every letter, every overstep. By the time the court date arrived, I felt calmer than I had in weeks. She didn't. In the courtroom, she spoke confidently, used polished language, talked about protecting the community. Then my lawyer started presenting evidence. Emails, maps, recorded acknowledgments. The judge asked her a simple question. Were you aware of these boundaries? She hesitated. That pause said more than words ever could. The judge didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He explained the law slowly, clearly, like he wanted everyone to understand. The HOA had no claim, no temporary authority, no legal standing. But that wasn't the worst part for her. The judge addressed the harassment, the intimidation, the misuse of position. He said something I'll never forget. Authority doesn't give permission to ignore the law. The ruling came down hard. The HOA lost jurisdiction over multiple disputed areas. Fines were issued. A separate civil case was allowed to move forward. But the real consequences came later. The board held an emergency meeting. Members who had stayed silent suddenly spoke up. She was removed as HOA president. Her reputation collapsed faster than her case ever did. People stopped trusting her, stopped defending her, all because she tried to grab what didn't belong to her. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel victory. I felt relief. Weeks later, I visited the land again, walked the dirt roads, touched the fences my grandfather built. The noise was gone. No letters, no threats, no fake concern, just wind through trees and the sound of birds. I realized something important. Justice isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly when preparation meets patience. She thought power came from a title, from speaking loudly at the right moment. My grandfather knew better. Power comes from knowing the truth and keeping records. Sometimes karma doesn't strike immediately. Sometimes it waits for you to overreach. And when it comes, it doesn't take revenge. It takes everything you tried to steal,